The next question, and the next question is actually a very interesting question that I can't wait to dive into. This question comes from a Taylor Light, and he writes, "Hey Alex, so I want to switch things up. I've never heard your take on anime movies being made into live action movies. What is your favorite anime, and do you think that a live action anime, or do you think an anime will work in live action?" Well, thank you for your question, Taylor. So, I've never really talked about anime on any of my videos, not from Ask Alex or anything. I am a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. I'm a huge Naruto fan. I love the Prince of Tennis. I love Inuyasha. I mean, like I can go down the line. There's so many animes that I love. There's so many that I hate. Like I hate One Punch Man. I think that's stupid. I think I hate there's One Piece. I think One Piece is dumb. He has all this power, but he can't swim. But you're a pirate. Makes and that happens because he eats a fruit. I don't understand that. Like, but anyway, but personally, I love I love the concept of anime and the stuff that they do. But here's my thing in terms of making them into a live action movie. We all saw Ghost in the Shell. I don't have to explain to you guys how bad that movie is. We all saw the Dragon Ball movie. Again, I don't have to explain to y'all how bad of a movie that is. I've always said that in terms of making a movie, if you have a linear storyline with great actors and just a great cohesive temperature environment, you can tell a great story. The problem is with Hollywood and most studios, they don't. In my opinion, I don't believe they really believe the concept of anime. Prime example, when they did Ghost in the Shell, I love Scarlett Johansson, but she should have never been the main character for that movie. They should have cast an Asian actress for that. And I get the concept of Ghost in the Shell. The bodies are ghosts. They're like that shell. The whole being is her being a ghost. I get that, but she was the headliner for that movie, and it didn't really fit up. It didn't really fit the source material. And I'm not saying you have to stick to the source material 100%. However, when you're doing anime, I think you want to stick to its roots. Now, there are some successful things that have come out live action, like Netflix did Bleach. Not Bleach, I'm sorry. Death Note. They did Death Note, which is, it's okay. It's not bad. It's definitely better than what we've seen before. But we've also seen some other stuff that's done in live action that's strictly made in Japan that hasn't really transitioned over to the States. I think personally it can happen, but I think studios and creators have to get on the same chord and say, hey, if we're going to tell this story of Naruto, this is how we're going to tell it. Because if you watch anime, and I don't know if you guys really watch anime that much, anime is all over the place. Like Naruto, like for instance, 90% of Naruto episodes are filler episodes of what he did when he was a kid. And if you're doing a movie, I could care less about what you did as a kid in terms of what you're doing right now. So that's where I kind of see that creativity falling. Personally, I still want to see Akira. Like if anyone's ever read or saw Akira, Akira is so cool. They even referenced that in Ready Player One. So I think that it can be done. It just has to be done in a certain way. But instead of me passing it over to Jeremy, I'm definitely going to pass this over to Ian, because Ian made an interesting video about making a live action Dragon Ball movie. Ian, what do you think of, what is your favorite anime, and do you think that an anime can translate well on the big screen?
Is this for me or Jeremy?
It's for you.
Oh, it's for me. Okay. Sorry. All right. So here's my response to that. And it's probably not a popular response, but listen, I'm not that type of movie fan that will shut down a movie before I even seen it. I used to be that guy, and then I realized, wow, it's a really douchey thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I've been proven so wrong. Oh, that's going to be terrible because of that actor. Oh, it's never going to work. You don't know. You don't know the person's vision until you see the final product. So I will never say nothing's going to work before it comes out. with that being said, we do have a track records of anime movies. A lot of them do not work. It's understandable that we have to put the science and the math in this conversation. Majority of them don't work. A lot of people did like Elite the Battle Angel. That's one of the few that I've heard that actually does work. But no, I think it could work. You mentioned that like Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell wasn't authentic Asian character, which when it comes to that culture, I do think that does matter. But listen, there's a lot of failures that lead to success, and I think these failures of anime could eventually lead to success. And you also mentioned that a lot of these are over the top. It is over the top. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, if you haven't noticed, and the show is about people screaming, instant transmission, flying over the place, shooting balls out of the hands. It's going to be a crazy thing to write. But is it impossible? I'll argue it's not. It's not impossible. We just got to take our time to do it right.
And I actually agree with that, because if you look at, prime example, if you look at Avengers Infinity War, they killed an entire universe. I'm not saying over the top is bad, but it's the way it's written. But Jeremy, what do you think about a studio making an anime movie into live action, and what is your take on anime in general?
Shout out to Inuyasha. That's one of my favorites, actually. I'm a big fan of that. I love Akira. Death Note is probably my favorite, and I've actually seen all of the anime series. I've also seen I think 2 or 3 Japanese live action movie versions of Death Note, as well as Adam Wingard's that you referenced that came out on Netflix a couple years ago. And I don't know, the only thing that probably worked about, I think William Dafoe's performance was pretty solid in the American adaptation of it, but outside of that, I feel like it really missed the mark. Translating anime, and I've kind of spoken to this before, but in animation and certain mediums, you're willing to accept a lot more things. These fantastical elements that you guys are talking about. I mean, what is a season of Naruto's like? 20-something episodes, 30-something episodes. I don't know, but
it's like 100. Like it literally took me like 12 years to finish all of it.
Oh wow! And that just speaks to how much lore you would have to explore to be able to really invest in these characters in the same way that an anime fan is. You've got 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours max to tell these stories. And so what do? You start with the origin story. That's what everybody does. But the origin story of these characters isn't necessarily what is resonating with the fans of the properties. So maybe you could make a Dragon Ball story and just start it right in the middle of the action. Like it starts out and Cell and Goku are fighting each other. And then it's like, how did I get here? And we go back in time and it's Goku kind of like recounting how he ended up in this fight with Cell. And then in the last act, they like kind of battle. Like there are ways that you can tell these kind of stories in a compelling way. But I feel like, and I've said this before, like what people like about video games is the fact that they're interactive. What people like about anime is the fact that it's animated. What people like about live action movies is the fact that they're movies. So, you know, I look at something like Old Boy. Old Boy is a adaptation of a manga, of a graphic novel, and it's fantastic. And the thing about Old Boy, there's no supernatural shit in it. You know what I mean? It's very grounded in our reality. So there are animes that are slice of life, everyday kind of stuff. Like I really like High Score Girl. There's this one about these 2 girl musicians, and it comes on Netflix. I can't even think of what it's called right now. But I really like it, and because it is grounded in that kind of reality, I think that why not be able to translate it? But when you're talking about these huge science fiction and fantasy epics, even like Akira, like animated-wise, that big monster thing, big fleshy mass that's like overtaking the city at the end, but how do you represent that in a live-action space and make any sense? So I don't know. It definitely is challenging. I do think that it can be done, but you know, like you guys have both addressed so far, it doesn't seem like many people have really been able to efficiently crack the code outside of Korean and Japanese filmmakers who this is their culture, their wheelhouse, and a lot of it does translate better because I feel like they have a better context of the material than maybe Western audiences would.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point, because there are like a lot of those anime shows that we like have been translated into the live action, but they're over in like Japan and some parts of Asia and some parts of China, where you can see, like, I didn't even know there's a Bleach live action movie that's actually produced by Warner Brothers, and it's a Japanese full out movie. And it's actually, I've only seen some of it, but the parts I did see was actually pretty cool. I personally don't think that it translates well over here. However, like Ian, like he said, we don't know until we see it. Like, we really don't know till we see it. But what do you guys think? What are your favorite animes? And do you think anime can work in live action? Jump into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. And